What an absolute incredible week of football, man. Holy moly. I'm in utter shock. I can't believe what I just witnessed yesterday. And I knew what I was going to witness on Sunday afternoon. And
Yeah,
man,
you're
oh
the only
man,
one. You're the only
man,
one.
man, oh man, dude. All I can do, I guess, is just laugh at this week of football. What is up? Everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to another edition of The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. You know what time it is. It is time to review the action that just took place in the NFL. NFL Week 13. And man, what a week it was. What a wild ride it was. So many twists and turns, so many shocking things happening. And we're gonna get we are gonna get into it. So without further ado, let's just start talking about it. Let's start the show. Welcome back. Welcome back to a very exciting, I'm very excited, a very exciting edition of The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. How's it going? I'm Jacob Cutler, one half of the Sports Guys, and it is time to review the NFL action that just took place, NFL Week 13, and man, oh man, did it go down. Did we have some shocking games? Did we have some great games, some back and forth games, some games that came down to the wire? We had everything and all mixed in between, and I cannot wait to talk about it. And as always, joining me to talk about it, one of my best friends, he is none other than the other half of the Sports Guys, Mr. Brandon Sullivan. Brandon, how you doing?
Yeah, just a pretty good week of football for us both. So, just in a pretty good mood for sure. What about you?
Yeah, I'm in a little bit of a stunned mood. I can't believe what happened yesterday. All things included, everything that encompassed that game that was last night that we'll definitely get into. But yeah, I'm definitely doing good after yesterday. And a weird feeling, I guess, in a weird stage for my team, just because you don't really know what the future holds in terms of if a certain somebody will be able to make it back if they do make the playoffs. And we'll get into that a little bit. But what a week of action. Let's quickly show the people, tell the people, let them know how we did. Let's put it up on the screen. For yourself, 9-4, 1-0 on the guaranteed victories, guaranteeing that the Cowboys would absolutely handle business against the Seahawks. And man, what a back and forth game that was. That was a hell of a game, an exciting game to kick off this week, or last week, I guess I should say. And your Cowboys, well, not your Cowboys, but the Cowboys guaranteeing your victory, getting the job done, pulling it out at the very last straw. I mean, Dak Prescott had to do anything and everything he could to pull out that victory, and he got the job done. So very well done there on your guaranteed victory. For myself, 10-3, 1-0 on my guaranteed victory. We're guaranteeing that the best team in the NFL would win the game. And yeah, you're damn right. That's the San Francisco 49ers. The San Francisco 49ers absolutely dog whipping, just taking the Eagles out to the woodshed and just bending them over and giving them the whooping that everybody, I think, in the NFL wanted to see happen. I mean, Niners talking a lot of smack leading into this game, and man, oh man, did they back up every single ounce of that smack and then some. So Niners getting the job done there in an emphatic fashion there in Philly, and we'll definitely talk about that. Overall for the season, that puts us at, for yourself, 126-67, 11-2 on your guaranteed victories. For myself, 114-79, 10-3 on my guaranteed victories. And then for our special guests, 52-38, 3-3 on their guaranteed victories. Let's wipe those off the screen. Let's get right into it. Oh, man. What good do you got for me from week 13?
Yeah, there was definitely some good there. Detroit, bouncing back and looking pretty good. Big victory on the road there. It's always hard to win in the New Orleans Superdome. Getting back, after an ugly Thanksgiving game. So good for them to bounce back. So I thought that was, a pretty good win for them.
Hmm.
Obviously, Miami looking dominant as usual. Tyreek Hill going off,
Yep.
just a cheat code. Potential MVP candidate with the way he's playing. Just incredible. Tua just slings that ball out there, throws it as far and deep as he wants, and somehow Tyreek Hill is making those catches. It's like crazy, dude. It just goes to show how much that dude helped the Chiefs. So,
Definitely.
just probably the biggest mistake probably in franchise history is, not figuring out a way to keep Tyreek Hill,
It's looking
because
like it.
he single-handedly was probably the reason they won that Super Bowl against the Niners. They got one without him, so they could make an argument there. But now you're really thin at wide receiver. So kudos to the Miami Dolphins for absolutely destroying the Commanders 45-15.
Yeah.
Houston coming through with a big win against a hot team on a win streak. I think Denver had won 5 or 6 straight. Houston coming through and absolutely getting the victory. CJ Stroud having a great game and beating them 22-17. So I thought
Yep.
that was really good. And then Green Bay.
Big victory.
Big win for Green Bay at home. I was not anticipating them to beat the Chiefs the way that they did.
Yeah, definitely.
Neutralized that offense pretty well. And they pretty much had control of the game, throughout, especially in the second half. So Jordan Love, I know we weren't too high on him at the beginning of the year, but he's starting to come along.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's starting to come along. And obviously Jake Browning, local Folsom boy, stepping up big time in Joe Burrow's absence. And those are big shoes to fill, but
Definitely.
you have the offensive weapons. That makes life a lot easier for Jake Browning. So good, Jake Browning throwing over 350 yards, getting down the field multiple times, getting his first start and his first start, a game-winning drive on the road against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So, I was very surprised with Jake Browning and the Bengals coming through with that win on the road.
That was
it was huge. It was huge. And last but not least, the San Francisco 49ers. Oh my goodness. And you called it, Jake. You called it. You sat there last week and you looked at all of us in our eyes and you said, they are not only going to beat the Eagles, but it's going to be a beat down. They're going to beat the brakes off of them. And that is exactly what they did. It was a slow start.
Yeah.
The 49ers net gain was -6 yards. It was the worst of Kyle Shanahan's career. I was very concerned when 4 or 5 of the first throws from Brock Purdy were incomplete. I didn't know what to do. The defense stepped up, held them to field goals, so it kept it to a touchdown lead essentially. And Kyle made the right adjustments. Brock Purdy, after going 0 for 4 to start the game, he went 19 for 23, 315 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interception, and a perfect passer rating of 154.8 after those first 4 incompletions. So credit to Brock Purdy. The guy doesn't get enough credit. Yesterday was the 1-year anniversary of him starting against him coming in during that Dolphins game. 1-year anniversary. Think of all the things that Brock Purdy has gone through in the last year. Stepping up, having to take over, tearing his UCL. We're wondering, is he ever going to play again? Does he need Tommy John surgery to, making making that first, that starting roster and basically
beating out the franchise quarterback,
the third pick. And now full circle a year later, going to Philly, the place that he got hurt, the place that we all felt heartbreak and devastation for this man, and coming out and dominating. Brock Purdy had a hell of a game. His wide receivers, his his tight ends, everybody helped him out, but still, I mean, just an impeccable performance,
Mhm.
and on the road in a hostile environment. Debo Samuel, shouts out to Debo Samuel. Just this dude is a machine. He's a Swiss Army knife. You don't know what they're gonna do. You don't know what he's gonna do. Everybody is just so selfless on this team. It's just such a fun team to watch, and
Yeah.
they all want everybody to succeed. So the defense, credit to the defense holding the Philadelphia Eagles to 19 points in their house, and just utter domination.
Yeah, I don't know if you caught the pregame coverage yesterday before the Monday Night Countdown game, but Scott Van Pelt, right? Our favorite guy on SportsCenter, Scott Van Pelt. Yeah, basically came out with a stat that against the Jaguars, Cowboys, Eagles, and Seahawks, they have won by a combined 103 points. So that's not this just domination. That's just obliterating the competition. So you take those 4-3 teams, you add up their point totals, and you put that all together, and the Niners beat them by 103 points. The Niners, in my opinion, best team in the NFL. They are the most complete team in the NFL. I think I've been saying it now for the last 5 or 6 weeks. But yeah, the Niners, it's kind of the same thing as last year, right? They lost that one game, or I think it was a couple games or whatever it was, and then they boom, they go on that win streak, and they basically just dominate the competition. So could we be seeing the same thing happen again? Like you said, Brock Purdy was just incredible. Debo Samuel backed up every single word that he said to the Eagles. He backed up everything he said. George Kittle playing tough, the defense playing tough. Everybody showed up. It's hilarious that we can go to the Dre Greenlaw situation where, that security guard definitely woke up the Niners. Having Dre Greenlaw get ejected, that definitely was the tipping point for the Niners, where it basically kind of flipped the switch and said, okay, we're playing a game now. And they just turned it on, and they showed. Look, I have been saying this for weeks. The Eagles are they are the worst 10-2 team I have ever seen. They have gotten by a lot of luck, a lot of gifts, and they've gotten exposed by a team who is an actually really good team. Now, sure, you may have caught the Eagles on a bad night, but did you really? I think we all know what would have happened last year in the playoffs if Brock Purdy was completely healthy that entire game. The Eagles aren't going to the Super Bowl. What happened yesterday would have been the exact same thing that happened last year in the playoffs. It would have been an identical match.
We would have won the Super Bowl. The Chiefs wouldn't have done anything against the defense. The Chiefs, I'm just saying, Patrick Mahomes on a busted leg. It was amazing what he did. He wouldn't have done it against the Niners defense. He just would. Their secondary got exposed.
Yep. Insert Chase Young to an already incredible defense. And this team is prime and poised for the playoffs. Now, the Eagles, after that loss, adding Shaquille Leonard in the off week here, this off time.
Whatever.
But again, still really a solid piece to add to your defense. Eagles always building, Niners always building. It's hilarious that all these other teams and fan bases, including myself, complain about our teams never doing anything. The Niners and the Eagles are two prime examples of, if you want something, you go out and you do whatever you can to get it. Getting Chase Young, getting Shaq Leonard. Eagles basically, if you're on the waiver wire, if you're a free agent, they're going to pull you in. They're going to pull you in and see how it's going. Now, Ndamukong Suh, there are reports that he's coming back to a contender in the NFC. So Eagles, Niners, we'll see. If the Niners somehow scored in Ndamukong Suh, John Lynch is the greatest defensive GM in the world. There's no, there's, I don't know how much you could argue there.
You added John Hargrave, right? That was another addition on the line. He was Pro Bowl tackle. I mean, Javon Hargrave, and then obviously signing Charvarius Ward. He has the most. I want to give a shout out to Charvarius Ward, 19 pass deflections. So I mean, he's leading the NFL. Charvarius Ward and Diamador Lenore with a major hit on DeAndre Swift. He's a hard hitter. As our nickel. It's a big shoes to fill with Jimmy Ward, but he's looking good. He's looking promising.
That was basically the epitome of that game yesterday, was that hit. Was basically everything you needed to know about that game. Niners looking dominant. The Cowboys looking dominant. Dak Prescott looking like an MVP in himself. Brock Purdy definitely top 1 or 2 on the MVP ladder. If he's not one, I would be very surprised. But Dak Prescott right behind him, leading the Cowboys out of the dusk, out of the darkness. People thought, obviously everybody thinks the Cowboys season is over at one point or another, but the Cowboys getting the job done there against the Seahawks. Big victory, keeping pace with the Eagles. Big, massive matchup next week in week 14. Cannot wait for that. Eagles have a bad back-to-back. They just have a bad lineup to finish up the season here with opponents. So we'll see what happens there. Who else? The Colts. Surprisingly, the Colts are the last seed in the playoffs currently. Could you believe it? Gardner Minshew-led Colts are in the playoffs? Yes. The Gardner Minshew-led Colts are in the playoffs currently, sitting at 7-5 after they dispatched the Tennessee Titans. Like you said, the Lions, I'm going to tippy-toe good and kind of bad because you're giving up 28 points to the Saints. Come on now. I mean, what is that? What is that?
New Orleans Superdome, though, they always fight. They always play well in New Orleans Superdome. It doesn't matter the year, the season, the quarterback. They always play well there.
I agree. The Atlanta Falcons defense has been just the only thing that has kept the Atlanta Falcons in games and winning games. Atlanta Falcons somehow 6-6, somehow, some way leading that NFC South, that terrible NFC South. Will they have a winning record? We shall see. The Dolphins, you already acknowledged them, dominating the Commanders. I mean, an absolute obliteration matchup, and they absolutely obliterated the Washington Commanders. The Texans ending, like I said, the Broncos 5-game winning streak. I mean, CJ Stroud losing Tank Dell for the rest of the year, that is definitely tough. That is going to be a massive loss felt because he and CJ Stroud chemistry was developing and it was developing nicely, but him and Nico Collins have some good chemistry also. But the Texans on the outside looking in currently on the playoff bubble, they though look really good last week. That defense coming through clutch, big time clutch. The Rams making a late dark horse push for the playoffs, now 6-6. Handling business against the Cleveland Browns. Joe Flacco somehow, some way has found his way back into the NFL. We can't find anybody else. We can't find anybody else to quarterback a team. Joe Flacco cannot get the job done there against the Rams. Rams get the job done.
I'm glad.
The Packers, 4 in a row now. We said it, you said it. We had a lot to say about Jordan Love. Everybody had a lot to say about Jordan Love. But Jordan Love proven he can get the job done. And guess what? The Packers schedule to end the season is weak. It is terrible. It is not good at all. So we'll see what happens with the Packers. And then the Bengals. Last but not least, the Cincinnati Bengals. Man, oh man, I don't know how to feel. I don't know whether to be ecstatic through the roof or whether I need to be like, what are we doing? I mean, I love the competitive spirit, but are we really going to do something this year? At the end of the day, I love it. Yesterday's game was one of the best games of the entire season. Non-fan, fan, everything in between. It was super exciting. Jake Brown brought it against Trevor Lawrence. He went punch for punch, blow for blow, down for down. The Bengals did and looked exactly how the Bengals looked and need to perform every single game, which is you need to give Joe Mixon the ball. Joe Mixon should break the single season touchdown record with how many times you give Joe Mixon the football. That's all you need to do. Give Joe Mixon the ball. It helps the O-line. They don't need to pass block so much. It opens up the play action game. It opens up Jamar Chase to get down the field, which by the way, Jamar Chase is one of the most incredible receivers I've ever seen. The man is incredible.
Well,
man.
like I was telling you, Jake, and everybody, I had a friend ask me the other day, who's your favorite 49er player? And instantly I wanted to say Deebo Samuel or George Kittle or Brock, like one of those three, or Fred Warner. They said non-Niner. And I said, oh, that's easy. It's Jamar Chase. I mean, this dude's got swag, man. This
Electric,
guy
man.
is just incredible, dude. He's one of the best receivers I've ever seen. And I'm just so jealous. Like, I wish that we would have, instead of drafting Trey Lance, got Jamar Chase. It's like, I'm always like, damn, what could have been, man, if we had Jamar, Ayuk, and Deebo? Like, it would just be absolutely bonkers. So it's like, I agree, man. Jamar Chase is incredible.
You know, the funny thing, the one thing I love about Jamar is he is a team player. You know, he has his quarterback's back. You know, going back to last week with all the tip passes, catches. I would say any other receiver, but I would say a large portion of receivers, a ball is tipped in the air, they're not going to make the effort the necessary effort that they need to make to try and make a play on the ball. They're going to stop their momentum. They're going to do the little stop juke nonsense. They're going to pretend like they can't get to it. They're going to get to it and drop it. But there are very few receivers, I believe, in the NFL that, are going to have their quarterbacks back no matter what. And Jamar Chase is one of those guys. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. He is going to have your back. He's going to do what he can to secure the catch, help the play out, knock the pass down. He's going to do what he can to basically make the play happen. So Jamar Chase, definitely ultimate team player. Joe Mixon, 3 touchdowns. Great game all around. Obviously there was that funny play with Tyler Boyd throwing the interception, but we'll just forget about that. But big thing from that game was Trevor Lawrence getting stepped on by his lineman, now suffering a high ankle sprain. Apparently not expected to miss significant time considered week to week, although high ankle sprains usually 4 to 6 weeks before you're kind of back in the swing of things. So we'll see what happens. It's on to CJ Beathard now, it's on to CJ Beathard now. What bad do you got for me?
I think as far as bad and ugly, I'll kind of loop together here today.
Okay.
I mean, I want to start with the Chargers and the Patriots. I mean, that's a good place to start. I mean, think of those fans, man. You pay all this money. You go out to a game. It rains the entire game. Who even knows? Zappy or whoever the quarterback is, you got 2 field goals from the Chargers. 6-0. I mean, here's the thing. In preseason one year, I saw Broncos Niners. It was a 3-0 game. I said after that, I will never go to a preseason game. And I can only imagine what it felt like to go to a 6-0, 6 points. That's a 6-0 game. When I looked at the score, I was like, okay, that's at the end of the first quarter. That's what I thought, or, it's at halftime. Like, I didn't think I had to make sure, I had to do the double take to make sure I didn't need to get, LASIK eye surgery or something or I needed contacts, because here's the thing, 6-0 game, 6-0. So I don't understand. I don't think anybody will understand. New York Jets, garbage. I mean, it is just complete trash. 8 points. I mean, give me a break. How do you...
5 points, actually. That was a garbage field goal. Let's be honest. They scored 5 points. They scored 5.
Yeah, it's just very, very odd.
Tim Boyle gone.
Bad week for injuries. Obviously, you mentioned Trevor, and then obviously Kenny Pickett getting hurt. Injury there. So hopefully they both are okay. And you never want to see a franchise quarterback go down, so it just makes things less interesting. So You know, I don't think either team has a Jake Browning. I think both teams pretty much have a CJ Beathard. So there's a big difference between having a Jake Browning and CJ Beathard, everybody. Okay. The thing is here's the reason why I'm going to say that Brock should be the MVP is he wins every game. But what about when you put CJ Beathard in with the same defense and the same offensive weapons? You're going 5-11. You're going 5-12. So that's my argument. Obviously, Kansas City, they're really, really looking bad. I mean, 19 points on the road again. Wide receivers not looking good. Obviously, there was a blatant non-call. I will say that. The officiating this week, garbage.
Yeah, again. Back-to-back weeks.
Again. And people need to be held accountable, like Jake was saying last week. You can't just think that you're going to make all these calls impact a game, and then you don't have to go up there and say anything, and you're not fined. If you're making bad calls, there should be deduction in your pay. It's like I can't go to work and make a bunch of mistakes. So if you keep doing it, there should be a certain amount of times that you screw up, and then you're terminated. That's the way it is. You're on a performance improvement plan like the rest of us. You don't just get to decide a game because there's too many emotions that go involved. If you don't like the Bengals, of course you're going to make calls for the Jaguars. If you don't like the Chiefs, of course you're going to make calls for the Packers. It's not fair. So I'm just saying, everybody's a human. They're not robots making these calls like on Madden. Like, if you're making mistakes, you should be held accountable. That's the bottom line.
Agreed.
And then, so injuries, I went over. Chiefs, I went over. Last but not least, Dom. Get the F out of here. What do you think you're doing? That's what I say to my cat. What do you think you're doing? Putting your hands on our players. You're a security guard with a wristband. You look like something out of The Sopranos. Like, you look like some sort of Italian, like the final Italian mob boss on the Mafia game. What are you doing out there? Touching our players and saying you're going to get them back and all this stuff. I anticipate he's either going to be terminated or suspended the rest of the year, because they asked Kyle Shanahan and he said, I don't know what another person, what a security guard thinks they're doing, or someone outside of the coaches or players think they're doing touching our players.
Yeah.
So Dre Greenlaw was in the right. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying that he had to handle it the way he did.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
I'm saying, you got somebody that you don't like, a random person, not a player, putting their hands on you. You're basically saying, don't you dare, don't you dare. But you're not involved with this. This is between myself and Devontae Smith. This has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
So, Dom, what can I say? Just very bad behavior there.
Yeah, man, oh man, yeah, the Chargers and the Patriots, that was just incredible. 6-0. That's just wow.
Gosh.
Wow. Patriots 2-9, Chargers now 2-10, excuse me. Chargers now 5-6. 6-0. The Jets, Tim Boyle gone, Brett Ripken in, asking Zach Wilson to get back into the starting role. Zach Wilson's like, you know what? I don't really know if I want to do that, because it's like, I kind of was doing an okay job. I wasn't doing great, but then you took me out and the offense got worse. They got worse. It wasn't better. It was terrible. The Jets are the awful New York Jets are just absolutely awful. They're just that. They're just awful. They don't have anything together. I don't know what the hell they are doing, man. Oh my God. Yeah, just not good. Not good there in awful New York Jet land. And we'll see what happens when Mr. Aaron Rodgers comes back, but it's not looking good now. And then Chiefs need receivers, and Travis Kelce, right? He can't do it all. I know his girlfriend's there in the crowd to help root him on, but he can't catch every single pass. These other receivers need to start producing, and they need to start producing quick. So we'll see what happens there. The Chiefs kind of rocky right now, not the Chiefs of old. It looks like the number 1 seed may, it's only one game, may be going to another team this year. The Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes might finally play his first playoff game on the road. And then the last bad was just the marathon that I watched. That was the Arizona Cardinals and the Pittsburgh Steelers because of weather. I felt like the game would never end. And every single time I turned, I saw that the game was back on. Pittsburgh was just getting absolutely dog walked. Mitchell, well, I'll keep it. I won't say his name. Mitchell Trubisky. Yeah, I mean, jeez, if the Steelers' hopes are now in Mitchell Trubisky's hands, we'll see what happens there. So good thing for the Bengals, they play 3 backups: the Browns, the Steelers, and the Colts. Obviously, Gardner Minshew's somewhat balling out, but we'll see what happens. Bengals, you never know; they might slip in there. Joey B might make a return. We'll see what happens there. But man, oh man, Steelers. We'll see what happens. Injury to whatever his face. What's his face? Kenny Pickett. Mitchell Trubisky now in charge. And then last but not least, the Commanders. I don't know if they're tanking. I don't know if they're being bad on purpose. I don't know if this is all a setup to let Ron Rivera walk and let Bill Belichick come on in, stroll on in, because that's what it certainly seems like, because the New England Patriots are terrible. They are terrible. So I think it's about time Bill makes his exit. And what do you know? What perfect job opening you have for the Washington Commanders. So what's going down in Washington? What's brewing in Washington? I'm not really too familiar. I'm not really too sure, because they did also let go 2 of their best defensive pieces. So we'll see what happens. But the Washington Commanders also ugly. 15 points. Ugly. That's going to do it for this edition of The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. We're done with week 13. It's over. It's a finito. We are on to week 14. It is going down. We got some action for you next week. Or for you, this upcoming week. It'll be all part of our picks episode. But man, Brandon, any last words for the people?
Good week for us both. I just hoping that I can say the same next week. So we got a couple of good matchups for us both. I think, just a little bit of competition there. So hoping that we can both come out on top.
Yeah, it's definitely been a good week, an exciting week of football. I'm excited for next week. We'll see Jake Browning sparking a little bit of a flame there in Bengal land. We'll see what happens there. And then Brock Purdy, let's see if he can continue his MVP march, because for what it's worth, he is definitely the MVP of the NFL at this current moment. And if you think anything different, you're just simply not watching the game. We're done with week 13. We're on to week 14. That's going to do it for this edition of The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. I am Jacob Cutler, one half of the Sports Guys. He is Brandon Sullivan, the other half of the Sports Guys. And if at any point during this video, if you like what you saw, do me a favor, just smash that like button, smash the subscribe button, just tap on that bell notification. That way, anytime new videos drop, you're right there to consume the content, because we're going to drop content all season long. That's going to do it for Brandon and Jake. We will see you in our picks episode. And until next time, Brandon and Jake, we're out.